I'm trying to live until I die. Come connect, you know it's a lewd state of mind. Yeah, talking traveling. If you wanna fly, fitness and finance, living a better life, keep it raw, no filter, living with no limit. Thank you for tuning in. Come on, let's get it.
Mate, it's good to have you back.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks for coming down, man. Cheers, dude.
Cheers, bro.
Bit of buckfast.
Thanks for lunch.
Those pizzas were good, yeah?
They're tasty.
Bo Gurks, go Burks. Bo Gurks.
Bo Gurks.
Edith fell. There you go, got a free plug. Hey, mate, thanks for coming down. The reason why you're here is because of a recent conversation we had and a recent post I put on my Facebook page. Now, millions of people are using Marketplace to sell items. Obviously, I'm one of them.
Me too.
I put an item on. It was a treadmill. It was a COVID purchase. Obviously, of no use anymore. Now, it was for $1,000. It specifically said cash on collection. Now, within, I'm going to say 10 minutes, I'm getting replies, is it available? Is it available? Is it available? Fucking annoying. Yes?
Yes.
It's one of the most annoying features of that platform. Yes, it is available because the ad's still up. Then I get these messages after replying, yes, it's available. I think we've got a screenshot up there. There we go. So, good day. I'd like to know if this is available. Yep. Pretty straightforward. Good response, isn't it?
It is.
Poignant. My son will be coming over to come pick it up. What day and time would be convenient for you? Now I reply, Willie, is he going to be holding my $1,000 in cash? ?
Fair question.
Fair question. Exactly, because it's a cash-only deal. I've stipulated that in the ad, haven't I?
Exactly.
All right, let's go to the next one. Let's have a look. What did he retort with? My son will be coming... Oh, that's the same thing. What is your pay ID info? In brackets, email. So I can make payment now because my son doesn't have a bank for me to make the payments to him, thanks. Now, that's when the fucking alarm bells go off.
Is that because of the poorly structured sentence to finish it
Well,
off?
bad grammar for a start. I mean, fucking hell. But the pay ID scam is rife. And the reason why we're here today and the reason why you're here is because you're a bit of an expert in this field. Pay ID, this pay ID scam, what the hell are they trying to achieve? Because if you go to the next response that we can't show on screen because it's a little bit graphic, was basically me identifying that they are fucking scammers. Correct. And telling them to go do something. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's happening to a lot of people. A lot of people these days are getting scammed.
They are. They are. And it's a sign of the times, and it's where, I guess, it's all moved on from, because this has been happening for, not just the last couple of years. It's been happening for 20 years and starting at the corporate level, and it's now moved, really nicely into the you and I level of trying to make a quick buck, because that's all it is. At the end of the day, these guys are trying to make cheap, easy money.
Okay, can you explain to me how the pay ID scam is supposed to work? Now, as far as I'm aware, pay ID, and for those people listening, pay ID is like a bank transfer. It's like an EFT, so it's an electronic funds transfer, but it's instant. Yep. That's the difference between an EFT and a bank ID. Now, also I'm aware, as far as my bank, ING, it's only $1,000 limit.
Yep.
And there's obviously a reason for that.
Yep.
But how are these guys trying to scam me out of money by saying that they're going to pay with pay ID?
So my understanding of the pay ID scam is that for some levels of, transaction, there is clearly a lower level, like up to $1,000, and there might be another type of account you can have. A bit like, I think PayPal has business accounts and personal accounts.
That would mean that you could transfer
different amounts of money, perhaps different levels of authorization. My understanding of the pay ID scam is they will, once you think you've got a sale, you want the $1,000 cash. They will rope you in by saying, I tried to pay you, but it failed because you don't have a business account. I'm willing to basically upgrade your account to a business account because it cost me $250 to do that. So you need to pay me the $250 if you want me to pay you the $1,000 for your treadmill.
And that's where they get them.
And once you pay the $250,
well, I'm not going to pay it because I'm not a dumbass.
But people do.
But people do, and that's what it comes down to. Is we were talking about this over lunch. Is like just the amount of people that are getting scammed, and the vulnerable people and the people who are getting duped. It's more, and it's getting more and more year on year. I mean, if you look at the figures, $3.1 billion was scammed out of Australians in 2022. That's the latest figures. Yeah. And the scary thing they say about it is that it could be worse than that because of stuff that's unreported.
Yep, there is a certain level that would go unreported.
Of course you would. People are ashamed. I mean, a couple of $100 here or $300 here, they're just going to take it on the.
And businesses that pay a lot more don't want to be known that they've actually paid the ransom or the whatever. They don't want to let people know that they got scammed. So yeah, there's the shame component, and then at the bigger levels, we don't want to admit that.
But then again, you look at companies like Medibank who have been in the media recently. I mean, they got hacked. There was a lot of information stolen, and they were held for ransom for that information.
Yeah.
This is how these scammers are making their money.
Exactly. And the only thing, like, to talk about the statistics of whether it's getting worse or whether it's just by virtue of it's easier to do, therefore you can reach more people, and 1% of people get scammed. Because that's the other thing of how generally all of these scams, from when we talk scamming rather than hacking, how scams work is just based on purely volume, right? You'll get 1%, you'll get 0.1% of people that'll be sucked in and pay the money and whatever. So by law of, if you want to make money, you need to, spread the scam as wide as you can. And that's why beauty things like Marketplace and Facebook that have, I don't know, probably how many hundreds of millions, maybe if not billions of subscribers in that platform, Marketplace arguably could reach all of them.
Easy pickings, apparently.
Easy pickings. So if you're 0.1%, that's a lot of people paying cash.
So they call that phishing, don't they? With a PH.
Well, phishing is more an email. Like, phishing is old school, around, sending targeted emails. Hey, I'm from the federal police. You've got a speeding fine. We've seen it done from schools perpetuating to be a school from your children, and you need to pay this uniform fee. Please deposit your money here for a new uniform. So phishing is generally trying to take something you think someone, has an affiliation to, and you hope they just click and don't think, oh yeah, I do speed all the time. I'll pay the speeding fine to, the federal police. And then when you delve deeper into people and you go, federal police don't issue speeding fines.
No,
why would you pay to the federal police?
I think the pivotal word you said there is click.
Yeah.
You click on a link and you open yourself up to a world of hurt, especially if it's an unknown link. And this is where they're getting you, isn't it? So whether it's an email link on your laptop or it's a text message in your phone.
Yep.
How else are they getting us with a click?
Probably it's the email and text messages is the clicky, the clicky link thing. Nowadays, you get the phone calls from the robobots. Hello, you have got some unpaid fine. Please, dial this number to pay it. Like, so they're moving into that voice, and that's probably AI that does a lot of that.
That's only going to get better, isn't it?
Yeah, it will get a lot better.
It'll get to the point where you actually think you're physically talking to a female or a male from the bank.
Correct.
Correct. And that's the scary thing about it. That's a whole different conversation.
It is,
right there.
and we might talk about it later, but that's why data breaches. Medicare, Optus, they've been in the news. They're big news as a news ticket item, and they're big for those companies. But I think a lot of individuals go, well, so what? What does that mean to me?
Well, that's a good question. So if I was one of their customers, why should I be concerned? Like, because generally, in my although I'm quite aware of these scams and other scams, and I don't click on shit. I've been around the streets a while and I know most of the tricks. But why, if my data's been taken from a company I deal with, why should I be concerned about that?
Yeah, so fundamentally, and really in short spaces of time, you're not. Who cares, right? It causes you some frustration if you had to go get a new license, or you had to change your credit card because the number's been popped. But realistically, doesn't impact us at all. But
hold on a sec. Well, let's just stop it right there. We had two forms. We had two forms of identification or payment.
Yep.
So we had a driver's license and we've got a credit card.
Yep.
Now somebody's got my credit card number. What can they do with it? Because are they going to have my CVV? Because if they got my CVV, I'm fucked. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they have. I don't think they store your CVV. That was why the CVV come about, because it's not a stored number.
Okay. Can you explain CVV? No.
It's like I think of it as two-factor authentication. So where you log into your bank account with a password, then they send you a text and you got to put in the code. Okay. I liken the CVV to that code because that code should be random. It shouldn't be stored with your credit card. So it should be separated from any data they have, and that's the control. Okay,
so going back to the initial credit card being stolen, or the information of my credit card being stolen.
Yeah.
What can somebody do with that?
So the thing with data breaches, from my opinion, is it's not what you do with one bit of information. It's what you do with lots of bits of information, because humans become the most vulnerable to being scammed when they believe they're dealing with the right organization, person, individual, whoever, whatever scenario. The more comfortable you feel that I'm talking to the real person or I'm interacting with a real person, the more information you'll give out. We all leak. That's one of my favorite terms. We're all leakers, right?
Yeah.
And if you meet a stranger, you don't tell them much. No. Your best friend, you tell everything, right? Yeah. So the more convincing you can be that it's real, the more likely you'll give over information you probably shouldn't give over. So data breaches work that they collect the data, they try for ransom from the company first. If you pay us a couple of $1 million, we'll quote unquote give you your data back. Yeah, sure. But we won't release it in the public space, and the public space is really the dark web where people want to buy that data. So that data has value to criminal organizations, scammers, hackers, whatever. So they'll buy it. They can package it up into different bits. Here's all credit card numbers. Here's people's names and addresses. Here's phone numbers, date of births, whatever the data is. But where down the track, if I can try to ring up my bank and I know my full name, my address, my date of birth, my last credit card number, my secret question, if I present enough information to the bank about someone, the bank might actually get to the point where it's like, oh, I really must be talking to Brendan or Glen. So sure, what do you want us to do? Or vice versa. If you ring up a random person and say, hi, I'm from Vic Roads. You've had a recent fine, and I know this because your rego is this, date of birth, blah, 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 phone number, address. So the more bits of random information you can put together, the more people will believe if you know all this information about me, you must be the legitimate organisation that you're purporting to be. And that's when people hand over their passwords, hand over their credit cards. Sure, hand over money. I'll do a bank transaction. I'll pay the fine, and that's how they get the money. Because ultimately, that's all they're trying to do is get money.
Okay. Well, on that pretext, then, what's the safest way to interact with somebody at your bank or any sort of authority? Because a lot of stuff I will ignore. Text messages, ignore.
Yep.
Emails, I'll take them as a grain of salt.
Yep.
But if somebody also tries to ring me, I'm always on the back foot. Like if my bank's calling me, the first thing they want me to do is verify my identification. They want me to tell them who I am.
Correct.
Which is, from a scammer's point of view, a way to get the information out of me that you may not have.
Correct.
Or to use it in another way. So we've got text, we've got email, we've got phone. How am I going to legitimately and safely deal with these institutions
So what?
on an ongoing basis without being scammed?
So what I do, I initiate the interaction. So
you're calling them
yeah. So if they called me,
a phone or email? What does
phone,
it matter?
It depends what it was.
What's preferable?
Well, the most preferable way is a direct interaction. So a phone call, a face-to-face. They're direct. I count something like email as like indirect. You don't know. You don't. If you send an email to a big organisation, as an inquiry, well, you're hitting a call centre or a staging area. So it's not direct to maybe who you're trying to ask about a loan or whatever. But
Which the shitty thing about it is how they want their interactions to start, isn't it?
correct. And all these things are born out of, opportunity. So a lot of these scams come from opportunities because of the way, banks and telcos and everyone else has outsourced stuff, right? So they outsource a lot of this stuff overseas, let's say. So dealing with someone who's, in Australia, not an Australian voice that you hear on the thing, well, that's normal because that's the normal process we hear now, right? So it's all opportunity. It's risk and opportunity in a lot of ways for everybody.
You can't even go to a branch anymore, can you?
No.
They're falling like fucking...
Yeah, because they cost money.
Yeah, anyway.
But that's different discussion for a different day. But yeah, so to go back to answer that question, if I had one of those emails, you need to click here to contact us or ring this number to contact us, I always cross-reference it.
Yeah.
So I'll Google what is ANZ's phone number, because if they're not supplying you with ANZ's phone number or bank's phone number.
Okay, so that's a really good tip for our listeners. Straight up, is do your due diligence and cross reference.
That's right.
If you're sitting at your computer, it's a simple Google search, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And my role used to be, I used to be a manager in cybersecurity, and I used to be responsible for vulnerability and patch management, and a team called a penetration testing team, which I won't use that word again, but basically it's like good guy hackers. So my role was a defensive role in a cybersecurity sense. So, and especially around vulnerability and patch
management. So you're playing fullback.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And what I used to say to people is, your computer, your phone, whatever electronic device is no different to anything else in your life. And the good example is your house, right? You don't leave your house open. You don't leave all the windows open. You don't let anyone just walk into your house
No.
without knowing who they are.
Yeah.
If you apply that analogy across all your electronic devices, you'll be fine. Because, someone walks up to your house and says, you need to pay this here, just put your money in here. You'd go, sorry, see you later. An email that says that, treated exactly the same way. Passwords are the equivalent to your, the key, the physical key to your door.
Yep.
So you don't give it away. That thing is, it is gold. So, and no one will ever ask, no legitimate organisation will ever ask for your password.
It's another key tip, isn't it? Yeah, they're not going to be, well, a scammer could be that brazen to come out, but obviously if they do, it's something that you're never going to give out.
Exactly. So, they're the real simple things that treat the internet, treat your devices like you do with every other physical thing in your life that you want to be valuable.
Hey, well, let's talk about your phone and your laptop. Now, there's a lot of scams with laptops and phones where they're using the camera to snap photos of the users doing questionable acts.
Yep.
And then using that to blackmail money out of them.
Yep.
How easy is it for a scammer, / hacker, to access my phone or my laptop? What's the process? How does it start?
Just before we say that in my view, there's a difference between a hacker and a scammer.
Yeah, let's cross that now. So what's the difference between a hacker and a scammer?
So to me, a scammer is, in general terms, it's just, wide net, throw your net, who knows what I catch. I hope to catch something. Hackers generally target someone, something for a specific purpose.
Can we say that hackers are smarter than scammers?
No, it's like being
hackers-
it's like a truck driver to a car, someone driving a car, right?
Okay.
Or they're different.
Yep.
Different roles, different modes of operation, different outcomes, right? In terms of what they're trying to achieve. So generally, yeah, to take over someone's camera, it's potentially, well, you can split that into two categories as well, right? So I know we had in our notes, we talked about jailbroken or rooted.
Yes. Talk to me about being rooted.
All right. Basically, if you jailbreak or root a phone or an iPad, Android device, etc., what you're trying to do is you're trying to gain access to the underlying operating system or hardware to replace it with something better or different. Because Apple's a good case here. To put an app on the App Store in Apple is really specific, right? You can't just say my app can do whatever it wants whenever it wants. And a good example is the app has to say, if you open an Apple app, it says, do you allow me to have access to the location or access to your phone or access to the files? Because that's all guidelines that Apple build into their operating system, that they don't let applications just natively have access to a camera.
I'm on Android and I see those same notifications.
And Android, Android used to be not as secure as Apple in the early days. They've probably caught up a lot. But Android traditionally were more flexible with how they would let applications interact with devices on the phone. Apple were always like hard asses.
Are we saying that we should be allowing them access? Is this a normal thing, or should we be suspicious of it?
So you shouldn't be suspicious of it. But what we're talking about is going back to the jailbreaking, right? So when you jailbreak something,
yep,
you basically are
a device
altering that device
yep.
to allow things that aren't normally allowed to happen. And that's so you can install dodgy applications or, whatever you want to do, whatever your reason is for jailbreaking the phone.
What's an example? If I'm a hacker and I jailbreak your phone, what's an example of something?
You jailbreak your own phone.
I'm jailbreaking.
So the old way.
I'm confused.
Okay, so the reason you used to jailbreak your phone is because you could then go onto the, let's say the dark web. It's not the dark web, but you can go on the internet. You can download hacked applications and install them for free. So when you hear about people getting free software,
yes,
right, you can't install free software on an unjailbroken device.
So that's phone and laptop, or
well,
just
laptop's different. You don't jailbreaking is generally a term with a device, not a laptop.
Okay,
so a phone and an iPad,
yep,
etc.
All right, so I'm jailbreaking my own
jailbreaking
device,
your own phone, so you can install software that
so I can not pay
potentially for free or
get free,
do whatever you want.
So I'm
yeah. Now, when you do that, to allow that dodgy software to be installed, you've bypassed a bunch of security controls on that device, and therefore, if you install other applications that are perhaps free, you don't know what's in them.
Okay, so if it's malware, so malware's...
that's right, yeah.
We say malware. Malware is all in our vocabulary. What is malware?
Well, it's malicious software is fundamentally what malware means.
What's its cause? What's its job?
Its job is to do things to the computer to allow you to capture information or...
Computer and or phone?
Computer and or phone, yep.
So any device?
Any device. Apple, a lot less susceptible to malware.
Which goes back to all those links and those text messages and emails that you shouldn't click on because you're going to install some malware.
That's right. And malware traditionally will target, and this is where the team I used to run, will typically target vulnerabilities in software. So any bit of software is designed on a timeline, get it out there. We need, X thing to do this. Right, and you've got a month to develop that software. It doesn't always go through a rigorous process to find out, are there any security vulnerabilities in that software?
Are we talking about the app on my phone for my bank?
We're talking about any app.
Wow.
Any app, anywhere. Now, the higher you are up in the food chain, like a bank, they'll spend a lot of money and a lot of time making sure there's no holes in that app.
So they fucking should.
Well, they do, because
they make billions of dollars a year.
Right.
You think they could put a little bit towards internet security.
However, mum and dad pizza shop down the road that wants to make a pizza app to make it easier for their local customers to order pizza, well, they're not going to spend millions of dollars.
No. You're saying I can get free pizza?
Yeah, maybe. You can get someone's credit card, maybe. Just get free pizza.
I like pizza.
But yeah, so, malware generally takes advantage of software that has known vulnerabilities.
Right.
And if we go to another tip, and I know we're probably jumping to the end here.
It's fine. We're going to recap at the end of the top
Another
tips.
tip is no matter what device you have, laptop, phone, iPad, Android, whenever that little box comes up and says, hey, you've got a new update, whether that be for the software or whether that be the operating system, install it. Install it as soon as you can, because generally these days, all those updates are fixing some tiny little security hole. There's a feature component and there's a security component generally in every one of those updates.
Does anybody have to be worried about those updates being something that they're not?
If you haven't got a jailbroken device, if you've just got a vanilla device you've bought from anywhere, it's off the shelf, it's designed. No, you don't.
Tip number
Do
3,
them
updates.
Always.
All the time.
Whenever they're ready. Microsoft, for all their operating systems, do it we used to call it Patch Tuesday. I'm not sure if it still is Patch Tuesday. Once a month, they'd release updates for all their operating systems.
I thought it was Taco Tuesday. Man, I remember in the old days when a new update used to come in, we had to clear some room off the hard drive
absolutely.
to make room for the update. It was, here we go again. Patch Tuesday.
See more opportunity? More opportunity for the bad guys?
Yes.
Because that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon, bro.
It's just endless, the amount of ways that they can windle their way into scamming you out of fucking your hard-earned dollars.
And some of it is such the basic, it's just human nature. We had a scenario where there was this one guy at home, got an email that had
This is in your company?
This is in the company.
That you work for?
That I work for. And I think at home he was running an Apple computer. And he got this, someone had, scammer had sent, and it had an attachment, an executable attachment. And he tried to open it on his Apple computer at home. And it didn't work.
So he put it on his laptop.
Apple were much better at that before, Windows were. So what did he do? He brought it into work on his USB stick and he ran it up at work. And it encrypted 50,000 files on a file server.
Oh, how long did it take to clean that fucking mess up?
Well, you can't. You have to hope your backups work. Or you pay the ransom to get the key. Which again, not many. Well, you don't know who pays the ransom fundamentally, because no one wants to disclose that information.
No, well, big companies aren't. I mean, basically, they just go into cleanup mode and self-protection, trying to make sure that their customers are getting what they need to make themselves feel better about the fuck up that they caused.
That's right. And I think we lost out of those 50,000 files. Because some of it was really old data. I think we lost about 10,000 files that we never had on backup.
Okay,
we couldn't recover.
So question for you: the people that sent him that email, what were they trying to obtain from him opening that attachment?
So generally, the crypto locker, that's called a crypto locker scam. It's just ransom. Pay us $1,000, we'll give you the key to decrypt your files.
Okay, so explain crypto lock.
So Crypto Locker was the scam, but basically, have you heard of you can encrypt things so people can't see what's in your files?
Okay, well, just give me a brief rundown on that.
Yeah, so one way to secure, if you have a USB stick and you've got your passport information on it, for example, if you just take a PDF of that, have it on your USB stick, anyone can pick up that USB stick and stick it into a computer and go, oh, there's Brendo's
download
passport.
The PDF. Yep.
Passport and PDF. If you wanted to protect that at some level, you can encrypt that file. And it's basically saying, here's my passcode of 12345. It uses that in combination, all the ones and zeros that make up your PDF. And if you were to open it without the code, it's nothing. Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've altered the file. You put in the password, all of a sudden you back your PDF. So that's encrypting a file. So it's a really great way to secure data that you don't want other people to be able to easily access. So
So encrypting is locking that data away with basically a key.
Like putting
a
in the
passcode.
safe.
Yeah.
Putting your passport in the safe is the physical.
Okay, so crypto locker, you're saying that somebody's accessed your files and put a lock on them so that you can't access them.
Correct.
But they can.
Well, they know what the key is.
Okay, and they hold you to ransom.
And they hold your ransom and say, if you give us $1,000, we'll tell you the
I
key.
bet you it was more than 1,000. But did they hold you to ransom? Or was it just an...
Because part of the program, when you run the program, it sends off an email or it sends back to whoever initiated it
it's
to say,
happening.
hey, it worked.
Yeah. Woohoo!
So you know, you have that person's email or
Yeah.
whatever it came from, right? So you know the source. And then you don't know much. They don't know much else, but it only happens they send an email. Hey, we just
Can you put a figure on what they were asking?
no, because we didn't even engage with them.
Okay.
We
Just ignore them and
yeah,
just
we went
dealt with it.
dealt with it. That's right.
So you're saying that they were older files, you managed that somehow, and
Oh, we had
and
them
just
back up. So that's why
Okay.
big companies should back up all the time.
well,
'cause
everybody should back up, shouldn't they?
correct.
Yeah. No, that's tip number 4. Back your shit up.
Yeah, and do it regularly and verify it if it's
Yeah.
important to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't store it on the same computer as where the files are.
Exactly, mate. I mean, come on. That's backup 101, isn't it? Hey? This podcast is brought to you by Holy Shirt Australia. Holy Shirt Australia are 100% online. They're Australia's largest no minimum custom print and embroidery company. All their services are completed in-house and they can deliver all orders promptly and professionally. They like to keep it simple and straightforward, so they offer cool stuff that can be custom printed or embroidered to your liking. They have an easy-to-use online designer to build your custom apparel from the comfort of your home or office. They offer pricing that reflects your individual order, and remember, they are no minimum on all their products. They deliver what the customer expects when they expect it. They've got over 1,500 products ready for you to custom print or embroider today, right now. So head to holyshirt.com.au for all your custom clothing requirements. So we've obviously touched on how easily somebody can install malware on a device by simply clicking a link.
Yeah.
It is that simple, isn't it?
Well, it is or isn't it? And I guess to round out the discussion about malware, there's generally 2 components. It's not easy to compromise a tablet, a device, a laptop, right?
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not.
If you keep everything up to date and you don't do stupid things, your computer is secure, your phone is secure, your tablet's secure, right?
Okay, so you can be clicking on links, and technically the updates or your malware software is going to detect what's happening when you click.
Or
that
not
link.
let it happen.
Yep.
Right? So there's the 2 things. So malware is designed to attack a vulnerability. So any bit of software can have a security vulnerability, which is why we said before, if you keep it up to date, it's great. Right?
So that was
Because-
tip number 4. Keep your shit up to date.
That's right. Because malware designed to go, there's a hole here, I'm going to take advantage of that hole. And by taking advantage of that hole, I can then do something that you don't know about. You are no longer in control of, aka turning your camera on and capturing images when you're not aware of the camera capturing images of you.
Okay,
right?
somebody's getting compromised by their camera through their laptop or their phone.
Yep. It's through a security vulnerability in that device first and foremost. Then it's send a link that exploits that, the term used.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
Yep.
And same as a keylogger, where you've heard people can, capture your keystrokes. That
Well,
can
no,
only...
let's explain that, because there's capture and there's keylogging, and they're 2 different things,
They're
aren't
2 different things, that's right.
they? Okay,
So,
see, can
if we say-
explain to me capture for a start.
so capture is generally... I guess there's in the media around TikTok and being Chinese owned, and once you put data into that system by posting your pictures and your videos and whatever else you do on TikTok, they own that data, they capture that data.
Is that the same with any other platform like Facebook or
Yep,
Insta?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Same
that's-
with any other platform.
That's how these companies work. They're
Correct.
farming data.
Correct. But it's what different jurisdictions in the world allow you to do with that data.
Well,
So-
TikTok is topical at the moment,
Correct.
because if you look at their their user agreement, it actually specifically says that they can do that.
Yep. Correct.
And they'll take information on face recognition.
Yep.
And they'll also take information on keylogging. Now, explain to us about keylogging.
So keylogging is so if we think of capture is something you put into an application or up on the internet, right? You post on a forum.
So you type in something
You
out,
type in something, it goes into a system, it's there forever.
press enter, it's there.
That's right. So keylogging is localized. So local to your computer, local to your phone, and it's the physical strokes, you know.
Okay, so
that
it's me on my phone typing 576245.
Correct.
And it knows exactly what I've just typed.
Correct. And it will capture it will store that and send it off somewhere. Or it'll store it locally, and if your device has been compromised, a hacker will come back later and collect the file where all those keystrokes have been logged to.
Okay, so that keystroke entry data that they've just taken, they know it's for my login for Facebook, or they know it's for the login for my bank, or they
No, they
so
won't.
it's not that specific.
No, it's actually when I've actually seen it, I've physically saw that in my corporate career, a keystroke file. It's actually a very boring text file, and there's no spaces in it. It's just, you know, fundamentally a single long line of keystrokes. But when you can run that through another computer program, you're right, it's very easy then to extract the data from it, because we all know that a credit card has 16 digits followed by a date.
Yes.
So if you have 18 digits and a slash somewhere there, you know, well, that's a credit card number and that's the date.
Yeah, well, that's pretty easy to pick up, isn't
Yeah.
it?
When you see an email address, a lot of people use an email address as a logon. So if you see Bill Smith at smith.com, and then you see a random bunch of characters that are 8 or 10 or 12
That's his
long, you go,
passcode.
well, that's probably the password.
Wow.
Right? So it's when you know what you want to look for, it's really simple. Now, also in that keylogging file is a bunch of crap as well, because it's like people might be typing an email to their missus. Hey, babe, I'll be home at 6 o'clock tonight. See ya. So keylogging is not it's generally, it'll be stored locally, and the bad guy will come back later on.
But fundamentally, as you've just said, there's patterns within that
Correct.
present themselves, and they're quite easy to recognise once you know what you're looking for, don't you?
There's high value data and there's low value data. And high value data is what they're looking for.
So if we go back to TikTok and the amount of data that they're harvesting,
Yeah. So there's lots of...
should you be concerned about...
I don't use TikTok, but I guess I'm not in the age bracket to use TikTok. But one of the concerns they have about TikTok is training AI to mimic human movement. And what's it called? I've forgotten what it's called. Where you can punch in Tom Cruise dancing or something. Where they take celebrities, they put them on a different body, and that they do it seamlessly. There's
our generation...
Yeah, there's a word for that thing. But so they're saying, are they trying to use platforms like TikTok to be able to make AI perfectly mimic human movement? And human speech. And so, again, we go back before we touched on, you get the phone calls that completely a computer generated voice that is so obvious.
Yes.
That it's not a human.
Yep.
Well, once you deep fakes, that's the word I was looking for.
There you go. Mav's doing his job. Hey,
Yeah.
Mav, it's good to have you back, by the way, too. We got the team back together.
We've got him back. So, deep fake is really, really hard to do, but it takes a lot of computing power. It's hard to do, but they're getting the good guys, the good bad guys are getting very good at it.
So deepfake's going to be used in what way to try to
dupe
me? I mean,
as the world moves forward in technology, I mean, you've got a lock on your door that you only have to put in touch 4 numbers or key, fingerprint recognition, what facial recognition down the track. If AI can sort of replicate humans, and then there's different technologies, that's how scams of the future are not going to be, click on this link, because people won't be sitting there in an email clicking on a link.
It's all going to be
different.
well above anybody's comprehension. It's just if you think about the way AI is going and how scary the outlook is with its just capabilities to do.
So great example. You know, I think you're going to talk about, or we can talk about now, the hi mum scam of, you know, I've lost my phone, don't longer reply to this, send me $100 to my WhatsApp account.
That's right, because I was doing the research for this. I was actually going through my block senders on my phone, and there's a shit ton of them. And I took a screenshot from a whole lot of them, and the hi mum dad one came up, and specifically says that, hi mum dad, I lost my phone. I cannot reply on text, only by WhatsApp to this number. Send me a text on WhatsApp. And there's the WhatsApp number.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to fall for that.
No, but people do.
And that's why we said, why are they falling for this? Why is a mum or a dad falling for this simple basic scam that looks very obviously like a scam?
So my opinion, human nature, a mother and a father and their children is like the most important thing in the world. So if they think their children are in trouble, they'll do anything instantaneously to help them out. They won't think because they're not thinking about it's a scam. They're just thinking about helping little Johnny out, and it's only $100. It's only $200. Well, it's not like I have to go and mortgage the house to pay that. So it's a value that in this day and age doesn't require a lot of thought.
And that goes back to what we were talking about previously, is that a lot of stuff's unreported.
That's right.
Because they're nominal amounts like $100 or $200, and people are genuinely embarrassed.
Yeah.
You know?
And the point I was going to do is, you know, with that. So right now that scam is text based, right?
Yep.
But we all know now. Again, you and I are a slightly different generation to the younger peeps. We still talk to each other on the phone, but I work with a lot of the younger guys. They don't talk to each other on the phone. They video each other on the phone, right? They're video calling all the time rather than sitting there like this talking to their mates.
Well, I know they don't pick up a phone because my fucking teenage son won't.
Well, that's because you're probably calling him, mate, not doing a video call. But, you know, so you imagine that deep fake stuff, again, harvest enough information with people from, with data breaches.
So you're saying that
and all of a sudden in the future, maybe you're doing a scam. Here's video of mum going, send me $100.
I can see how that can work. That's a deep fake for sure.
And the realer it looks.
I don't understand. I thought the youth of today only texts. That like they're never going to pick up the phone. You're never going to have a conversation with them. It's actually funny because a lot of people from our generation have actually adopted that. They don't pick up the phone. They don't talk. They'll text you.
Yeah.
Text all fucking day. You know?
That's right.
And you go, just pick up the fucking phone and save me 30 minutes of my life going backwards and forwards with this bullshit.
Yeah.
People don't do that anymore.
No. And that's, again, why text scams work, right? Because there's a certain part of the generation that's all they use text.
Well, that's the thing is that I think you say certain part of the generation, that they're targeting a lot of the users of phones, because older people, you know, are unawares to what's sitting behind a link. You know, the amount of people that just randomly click on links. Yeah, even when they just.
But they do it so well, they target all sections of society. So what they do with older people is they still ring them up, because older people have home phones still. And they ring up their home phone and they say, hi, it's Sally from the bank. Can you just go onto your computer now? And they go, sure.
That's the only call they've had in a week.
That's right. So, you know, they target beautifully the whole spectrum.
It is
the
an
whole
art.
spectrum. And then they target consumers different to corporates.
It is an art. Well, as I said, we're talking about those text messages. I was looking through the block stuff. You know, you've got stuff about your parcel hasn't been collected, or something's been delivered and there hasn't been enough freight paid for it. Click the link. The mum dad stuff, the
toll
companies. You know, so fuck off.
Speeding fines.
Unbelievable. I couldn't believe the amount of block messages I have there, and I went through them. There'd be 150.
Yeah.
From different people trying to scam me on a fucking daily basis.
Yep. And, you know, for you, if that's your same, you know, how they do that to you, maybe more so than me, is with your businesses that you run, you probably got that mobile number up there on the interwebs. And now you have bots that just scan the internet, sites looking for
We're talking about
emails.
bots. Let's because let's go back to the start
Yep.
with the face marketplace scam.
Yep.
I was being replied to by bots. Is that what you told me? So there's
Some, but no, some are real people that like.
but there are scams there through Facebook Marketplace where bots will reply with the same sort of ID scams.
And perhaps a lot of those first interactions with, is this still for sale? That could be a bot. And once they get a reply,
It goes to
a human.
Yeah. It's funny because we didn't see the end of that text message where it says whatever has left the conversation. It's like after I called him out as a fucking scammer.
Yeah. So my guy was much friendlier than your guy. My guy was coming down from Sydney to pick up a barbecue.
Yeah, well, let's just explain what happened with you, with your experience with Marketplace. You're trying to sell a barbecue, right?
Trying to sell a barbecue.
Yeah.
It was a very, is this still for sale? Yes. Then it was like, where are you located? And I said, the country, Victoria, the city. It was then, there was one other question he asked and I went, this is a scam. Like, but then continued on. And the question he said was, I'll come down on Wednesday night and pick it up. So there was no pay ID. There was no terms of money transactions.
But in the ad, it clearly states cash on delivery.
Yeah, but there was no discussion about it. It was just about picking it up.
Yep.
And what was the trigger for me was, he said, I'm coming from Sydney. It's easier to pick it up in Melbourne.
No,
it's like, you got to drive past my house.
Dumbass.
So it's like, this is a scam.
Yeah.
And then I asked one more thing and I said, I forget what I said, but it was like, so-and-so has left for conversation. So you go, scam. So maybe that next step was probably going to be maybe a day before, or, again, the way these guys can work is the more pressure you put on people, again, sometimes you'll get a better result from what you want out of them, right? So maybe he was going to say at lunchtime that, I can't make it, give me a pay ID and, I'll transfer money and get it later. Who knows what they're going to say? But
the thing is, that's what I don't understand about the way these guys go about it. Yeah. They're creating more suspicion by the way that they act, and only the real vulnerable. I mean, how vulnerable do you have to be to sell a barbecue and get fucking scammed for it?
But it's not vulnerable. Like, I use the example when I worked corporate. There was the scam at the time a few years ago was called the CEO fraud scam. And
never heard of it.
Yep, because unless you're working for big companies, you probably wouldn't have.
Well, fuck, there you go.
But what it was, right? An email from the CEO to someone. They were generally trying to find people in financial departments or people with authority to make financial decisions, right, at different levels. You'd get an email. This is the CEO. We're doing a secret deal. You can't tell anyone. I need you to transfer 10 grand, to this bank account now to secure this deal, right? Do not tell anyone. Now, when they first started, the number was like 100 grand or even bigger potentially. They quickly learned on. Even in the big corporates, you have to be really high up the food chain to approve a $200,000 transaction with nobody else.
You'd have to be right at the top, wouldn't you?
No, some of the big companies that, you have to be, if you're a fairly senior GM higher than that, you could probably approve that.
Yep.
But they found that where these emails are landing were not that level. All right. So we saw it over this 6-month period. It went down from 200 grand, 100 grand, 50 grand, 40 grand, 30 grand. They found the sweet spot.
10
basically
grand.
Under 10 grand. So most normal level manager in any large corporate can approve 10 grand without having to ask anyone. That's well within their approval. So you'd see all these emails that you need to transfer $9,872 without telling anyone.
Yeah.
And the amount of those that got paid would be mind-blowing.
I can imagine. Isn't there a banking or a federal law about cash transactions under 10,000? So if you transact $10,000, it doesn't register.
That's right.
But
that's anti-money laundering. That's for drugs. That one.
Yeah. Well, and you'd say it would be for scammers as well too, wouldn't you? No, it doesn't come. It's just for drugs.
It's just for drugs. That's money laundering.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
It's obviously there for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so it's they find the sweet spot of what they're trying to do. So and again, it applies to all of us across the board. What's your sweet spot?
Yeah.
We'll all break it.
Everybody's got it. Yeah. Everybody's got their breaking point or their selling or their dollar value.
Exactly.
You know? Hey, we're talking about a few points about red flags on common scheme. So, what's the red flag of most common schemes that you see? I mean, we talked about like if somebody's calling you up with the shitty voice.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's in that sense, it's like it's a shitty voice or it's a foreign voice, you know, and that's not being racist, but it's a foreign voice. A lot of times in emails and text, it's grammar, it's structure, sentence structure.
Yeah, there's
sentence
a lot
structure, easy one.
A lot of bad spacing between a lot of this stuff.
Exactly,
Isn't it? You know?
exactly, and
people asking for money for prizes and you know, like I was talking to a good friend of mine, and his son's a gamer, and they got a phone call or a text about he'd won a prize, and all they had to do was pay such and such amount to get the prize, and it's like, well,
yeah,
right. If you're giving me a prize and you want me to pay for the prize, alarm bells should be fucking going off.
Correct.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Correct. And there's just so many. It's if you get an email and it's got a graphic on it of Telstra or Optus or something, if
it's pixelated.
Pixelated, that's right, because it's been screen captured. Not so. There's a lot of different things, and a lot of the time, even if you go, I've seen some good ones. I've seen some really good ones in my time. You can often Google it. Like when in doubt, Google, so and so you're getting it from. Is there any scams from Vic Roads? And you go, oh, look at that. There's my exact email that I can see on the internet that I've got.
Yeah, once again, you don't know until you know. But the thing is that Mr. Googles knows everything. And it's all in pretty much real time like the traffic.
Yeah. Lucky we trust Google.
Well, it would be a very bad world if we didn't trust Google.
Yeah.
Hey, going back to trust, we're talking about the dark web. Now, how do I get onto the dark web? If I want to go buy some shit, just wanted to do a little bit of shopping, how am I going to do that?
Look, I'm not a dark web expert, and I'm not even a dark web novice.
I do know some stuff about that.
My basic thing, and Mav, correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, Mav knows everything. Come on, Mav.
VPN. So you need a VPN.
Okay,
that's you can if you want to protect your privacy, but that's not a must. But
I think it's protecting the destination too.
Okay, well, explain VPN to our listeners.
VPN's a virtual private network where, again, the start of that is you plug your computer into the internet. It's an open forum, right? And the network can see you and arguably any traffic that emanates from your computer or your device. You can see it. If you're looking for it, you can see it.
It's like your street address, yeah?
Like your street address.
Yeah.
A virtual private network is you go back to encryption again. So you basically, if you think, if you open a tunnel over your public network and that tunnel is encrypted and then you send everything through the middle of that tunnel.
Oh, don't do that. Don't even do. He just did that. Don't do that
Technical
again.
difficulties.
We're gonna have to edit that out, man. Timestamp that.
You send something through that tunnel that's encrypted. Now, anyone who's looking at it, it means nothing to them.
Yeah.
So, and it also protects your end, but obviously the terminating end of that VPN, it also protects that. So, some of the real bad dark web stuff, if law enforcement's looking, they can see source and destination. Well, they don't want you to see the destination or get data about the destination because that's helps them investigate.
Okay.
So a VPN can make that all anonymous.
Right. And it's all legal above board. Well, I say legal above board. It's just available and it's there to use.
Well, it's the transport network fundamentally. Okay. It's no difference than ordering drugs on your telephone.
Yeah, so
that's all the dark
transport network. I hope it goes better than Eurotrams.
Yeah.
So getting back to the dark web, Mav, did you have anything to add on the dark web? If I want to go on and buy some information, how am I going to do that?
Yeah. So first off, there's a website up there if you want to
All right.
look at it. It basically just recaps everything I was going to say. So you need a specific browser that doesn't use.
Okay, well, let me read on. What
cool.
is the dark web? The U.S. government developed. So the U.S. government developed the dark web.
Well, they develop everything dodgy, don't
Oh, okay. They developed the dark web so that spies would have a place to communicate secretly. The U.S. military developed the Onion router,
Yeah, onion.
also known as Tor, and made it available to the public in 2004. By encrypting data at multiple stages, the Onion routing technology ensures that users remain hidden when browsing the web. So it's basically like the incognito window on Google when you want to look at some porn. Yeah, same
but
thing.
No, not the same thing.
No.
'Cause
No?
Incognito.
How do you know about that?
No, I've just heard some information. Incognito. Oi.
Okay, similar to the open web, the dark web is populated by groups and individuals that construct and run websites, not all of which promote or facilitate unlawful activity. So the dark web isn't as dark as what they say it is, but it's specifically there for people doing dark stuff.
Well, the anonymity. I can't say that word.
The
The anonymous nature of the
anonymity.
and the onion. So where the onion router comes from, it's actually the theory of an onion. You know,
Well,
multiple layers. So you crack the first layer, well, you got still many layers of encryption to get through before you'd actually get to the.
It is a
middle.
beautiful name, isn't it?
It is. That's what they call
It's
it.
very poignant. Can you just go? So, how to safely access the dark web? You must use tools like Tor to hide your identity and get to the dark web. The Tor browser works just like any other browsers. Blah 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 blah. All right, so we can get in there, and once we're in there, what are we going to find? Are we going to find information from hackers and data and
Yeah, so that's-
so anything for a price? It's an
Anything
open
for-
market.
It's an open market.
Yeah.
Everything there isn't as easy to find as just a quick Google search. Because
Correct.
Okay, so you
know how everything has like the websites have .com or .net.
yes.
They use .onion. That's where
Ooh.
the onion comes from. And to make stuff less easily accessible, they'd use like a random chain of numbers and letters, so nobody can figure it out easily. So that's why there's websites like the Hidden Wiki, which I'll pull up in a sec to show to you guys. But the Hidden Wiki is just a whole website full of links and all that on everything.
So it's like the wiki on Google, but for all the stuff on the dark web. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I'll pull up a web page
Okay.
to
Well,
explain that.
It's intriguing, isn't it?
The hidden wiki.
Did you know about this?
Oh,
Glenn?
I'm learning something.
That's good. That's what we're all about here, mate. The hidden. Oh, Jesus!
That's the actual bad page. I'm not.
I was going to say I don't like the black background.
Yeah,
mate.
the
That's-
black background.
There you go.
Dodgy.
Can you just blow that up so I can read it,
Yep.
please?
Give me one sec.
The Hidden Wiki was a dark web media wiki operating as Thor hidden services that could be anonymously edited after registering on the site. The main page serves the directed links to other .onion. So there we go, the .onion. So if
Look at that down there. In March 2014, the site was hacked and redirected.
Isn't that
Even
ironic?
the bad guys get hacked. by
isn't
bad
that
guys.
all right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just bad guys doing bad things to bad people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh dear. All right. Hey, going back to a few points that we've covered already and some questions. Now, do banks refund scam money? If I'm scammed some way or another, am I getting my money
It's
back?
a great question. You're more likely to get your money back from a credit card transaction. You're less likely to get your money back from a direct transfer.
Yep, I'd probably agree with that. Now, they suggest that you contact your bank immediately, obviously.
Yep.
Most banks shouldn't reimburse you if you transferred money to somebody because of a scam. That's specifically what they're saying there. So banks are basically saying, yeah, we'll honour your stupidness and give you your money
Yeah.
back. But as you say, like,
I wonder if there's a caveat around that.
there's
'cause
probably
you know how
because as you say, a credit card versus an EFT. Like if
Yeah.
you're specifically putting money, and there was something in the news just this last week where the Sydney side had got scammed for 16 grand
Yep.
through some text messages from what he thought was his bank, and it went just like that. Now I don't know whether he was reimbursed for that, but it just seemed too good to be fucking true.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of those scenarios where it probably depends how it. If you've given out your password and your bank account, and I'm not sure how much the bank would do that liability. If it was something, say a dodgy app or something that was maybe trying to look like a bank's app, then maybe they would, because they'd go, well, they maybe should have shut that down before.
So you're saying that that's their job to basically banks have teams and teams and teams
large cybersecurity teams
of people just looking out for
Huge.
shit coming.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Do they
Correct.
delve right down into these emails that people are getting with fake headers?
They get
whole-
into everything.
the whole game.
I've met a fair few of those guys, and they're actually very good in Australia. Very good, and work closely with the Australian Federal Police. And one of the problems in Australia, again, we're a small fish in a big pond, and the problem with a lot of these scams is once the banks and the Australian Federal Police do a lot to protect around if money goes to Australian bank accounts. It's in our jurisdiction, in terms of Australia's jurisdiction. They have authority. They can do a lot in a very short period of time.
But if it goes
Problem
offshore,
is, if it goes offshore,
they're fucked.
they got no jurisdiction. I think that largely would depend a lot on the how, the why, the what.
Okay,
Whether you get your money back from a direct transaction.
Do we know the stats on where the scams are coming from, as in domestic versus international? Mav, do you want to just do a quick? Can you?
I think it's a lot of it's a lot of Eastern Bloc crime stuff.
So we're saying that it's generally coming from offshore.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of
I-
domestic.
That would be my guess.
You would think that domestically they're going to get shut down pretty quickly.
Yeah,
They're gonna
and
get
again,
found.
we're small. We're a small country. There's not many of us. So if you're doing stuff that, stands out, you're probably going to get caught. Whereas coming from overseas where there's no jurisdiction and stuff.
What about these text messages that are coming from Australian numbers?
Well, they look like they're coming from Australian numbers. And again, you can get prepaid numbers and eSIMs these days. eSIMs makes things a whole lot easier. For
Oh shit! I
okay,
didn't know
okay.
about eSIMs.
Yeah.
What
mate,
do they
eSIMs.
do?
Well, you get a phone number without having a physical SIM card.
Really?
Isn't that beautiful?
And everything's on the interweb on your computer.
Yeah, everything's,
Wow.
as long as the company with eSIMs doesn't get hacked.
Yeah. Oh, well, like what? Optus? Do they do eSIMs?
Well, I assume they do. But I don't think
I've never heard of an eSIM.
Haven't you?
No.
Yeah, no, you don't.
No,
your
I
phone.
presume that you actually physically have to have.
Not anymore.
So it's all just. Well, I mean,
Not
it
anymore.
makes perfect sense.
And
doesn't
you can port eSIMs rather easily.
Oh,
too.
Jesus God. Do we want to go down that route?
No.
All right, well, going back to the phones then, can a scammer hack my phone? I think we touched on that. Give me a simple answer, yes, no.
No.
Can't hack
I'm not
my
worried.
phone.
I'm not worried about my phone being hacked.
No?
If there's an answer.
No, you don't have a Band-Aid over your camera?
No.
No?
No.
You're not worried about it?
No.
Okay, fair enough. That's cool. Who can access my bank account without my permission?
Again, I'd say no one. Key word there being without your permission. And permission doesn't actually imply physical. Yes, you can access it. It can be you give out your password to someone. Well, you've just given permission, in my view.
And that's only going to work on internet banking, isn't it? So I mean,
That's right.
There's no way that can work physically if I walk into a bank, because the thing,
Yeah,
unless
say-
I've got another form of identification.
That's
so
right.
I've got
That's
your
right.
bank account details. I've stolen that. I've got that. I walk into a branch of XYZ Bank.
Yep.
I go to fill out. Do they still have withdrawal forms? Does that still happen?
Don't think so.
No. So I'm going to present myself. I've got your account details, but I don't have your identification. I don't have your driver's license. I don't have another form of identification.
Well, unless you bought some Medibank data or something. I don't know.
Okay, well, that goes back to the dark web. I'm not
Yeah.
that smart.
No.
We've ascertained scammers aren't that smart generally.
That's right.
Generally, exactly. All right, so that's not going to happen. All right, so can somebody hack my bank account with my phone number? Can that happen?
I don't think
Once
so.
again, no, it's not
Don't think
possible. No.
No, I'd say with any single bit of data, you can't do anything. So any single bit, just your date of birth or just your name or just.
So
your
they've got to farm pretty much as much information as you said as they can with you to create this profile of you to make it seem like it's you when it's not you.
Yeah, and again, I guess I'll caveat it with we're talking big banks here, right? We're talking Australia's banks.
The big four.
Yeah, as I said, they have massive cybersecurity teams. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars protecting themselves because a bank, unlike other sectors, mining sectors, electricity sectors, a bank, the only thing they lose is money, right? So all they have to do
Is not lose money.
is protect themselves from losing money. And a lot of these scams, 99% of scams or hacking is about taking someone's money. Electricity companies, mining companies, other technology companies, car companies, they're trying to protect intellectual property. They don't want someone stealing the plans for the latest BMW M5, or so you can build it. So they're not, a lot of their fraud in that level is not necessarily directly about money. It's about other intangibles that they might not even know, right? But a bank, they're only just trying to stop people stealing money. So banks are good. Our banks are good.
On that pretext, the only way that scammers are getting money from banks is through the user of the bank giving them access to money by handing the money over them by deception,
Yeah, pretty much.
by being scammed.
Pretty much.
So technically a hacker or a scammer can't just go to a bank and access money that you have from your accounts.
No, I wouldn't. If I just relate it to me, I'm very comfortable with my banks.
That's good to know. But saying that to our listeners, if you're getting text messages or emails from your bank,
Yeah, never do anything with any of them ever.
be suspicious.
Yep.
That's number one tip for today.
Yep.
Be suspicious.
Yep.
And question everything.
Yep. And if you think
And-
it's legitimate, give them a call.
Don't be afraid to
Yep.
query or to question or to
That's right. Yep. Go to comback.com.au and find their direct number or their direct email and ask them the question.
simple.
Simple.
What can a hacker see on your phone? Once again, that comes down to access, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's again, that's slightly more complex because your phone is your phone, but then there's applications on your phone, right? So to say simplistically, if you go, what can they access on your phone? Well, you go, on your phone? Probably nothing. Dodgy app, an app that has a security flaw in it that you don't update, that you allow access to your contacts and other stuff. Potentially through the application, they might be able to do something.
Okay, well, just on that point, we've got some tips here about how do you know if somebody's tracking your phone.
Yep.
So your phone is jailbroken or rooted.
Yep.
Unknown app installed on your phone, as we talked about. Your phone gets overheated.
Yep.
Increased battery consumption.
Yep. And so those two things generally imply that there's something working
Going on in the background.
that you
Exactly.
don't know about.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's like when you leave Google Maps on.
Yeah.
Well, where's my battery gone?
That's right.
Higher data usage, obviously. Sudden
Yep.
performance deterioration, unusual and particular permission requests,
Yep.
which is the malware in there. Unusual noise during calls. That's just China spying on you.
Yeah.
If you've got TikTok. So there you go. That's stuff to be aware of if somebody's hacking your phone.
Yeah.
It's good solid advice. This podcast is brought to you by Holy Shirt Australia. Holy Shirt Australia are 100% online. They're Australia's largest no minimum custom print and embroidery company. All their services are completed in-house, and they can deliver all orders promptly and professionally. They like to keep it simple and straightforward, so they offer cool stuff that can be custom printed or embroidered to your liking. They have an easy-to-use online designer to build your custom apparel from the comfort of your home or office. They offer pricing that reflects your individual order, and remember, there are no minimum on all their products. They deliver what the customer expects when they expect it. They've got over 1,500 products ready for you to custom print or embroider today, right now. So head to holyshirt.com.au for all your custom clothing requirements. Can hackers look at your screen on your phone? If they've got access to your phone or your device, your laptop, your iPad, can they look at what's on your screen? Or is it only what we go back to with the capture and the key logging? Can they physically, so can you mirror my phone if somebody's hacking me? Can you mirror it as a hacker and go, oh, I can see what they're doing, I can see what's going on? Is that possible?
So yes and no. Yes is your phone has to be compromised first.
Okay, as we said. So if you've got some malware on there through...
Correct. But you're
Not updating,
run of
blah,
the
blah,
mill, everything hunky-dory, up to date. You're not doing anything stupid. No.
General population shouldn't be worried about that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, so that's not a probability.
And yeah, and I guess you caveat that again with general stuff, not cyber espionage, which I always used to think happened in the movies, but no, it doesn't. It's real. Cyber espionage, especially at the corporate level, is real.
Oh, look, everything you see in the movies is based on fucking fact, isn't it? They've got to get the information somewhere.
But there are teams in the world that their job is to attack large companies in the world. But that's not the average. That's the average person. If you're the CEO of a very large technology companies and people like that, they absolutely.
They should have something to worry about.
Yeah, and we used to. Yeah, and we used to. In our company, we used to brief the CEO all the time. What would restrict what devices they could have, what devices they could use if they went to particular countries.
Okay, so if we go back to what you did in your position.
Yep.
So we're talking about attacks externally coming daily, weekly, hourly. What are we talking about from the company that you dealt with?
Like.
Is it just constant, or is it just
it's constant, but
peaks and troughs?
Again, it's like the high value and low value. So I think our stat was we would have how many million? It was like, let's use a round number. We'd have 10 million emails coming to our company every week. Of that, I think 8 million emails were blocked because it was just spam,
just shit,
crap, ads, malware. In links, we used to run security software over all our emails, and again, you're probably talking out of that 8 million, probably 1 million of it is blocking some sort of dodgy file that was attached to email. That it's all automated. Like it's not people clicking on links sending it to us. It's all just automated shit, just pumping it out, trying to something to land.
Catch it. They're fishing with a PH.
Fishing, exactly. Yeah, so, but then your real stuff, it's hard to find. It's hard to know when you're being popped in a lot of cases.
Were there instances where shit fell through the cracks?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. Every large company in Australia has at some point, especially years ago, been hacked by.
Okay, define for me large company. We're talking about
ASX 200 companies.
Yeah.
But probably maybe not the 200, but certainly the large 50, 100. And it moved on, corporates got much better. So, again, the good guys are smart and the bad guys are smart at that level. So, 10 years ago, they were directly attacking those companies. Then those companies got good at defending themselves. So, but in that time, we also knew all those big companies outsourced to a lot of the Indian-based second-level companies.
Yep.
So we sat there going, well, we don't see anything anymore. But the bad guys are investing time attacking the second-level companies, right? So
they're picking their markets.
Yeah.
They're picking out the weak,
Because
like a tiger would with a.
absolutely, they go for the weakest link because why? It costs them money, right? Too. So it costs us money to defend ourselves. It costs them money to attack. It costs money to do that.
Yep.
So they're looking for easy wins. So yeah, they as each level got better at defending themselves, they would work out the next level. You know, and if you think in the modern business, there are so many levels. You know, because you outsource your IT to one company, you might outsource your payment systems to another company, you might outsource your billing and invoicing.
You got all these fucking open doors, haven't you?
All these, you know, your ordering systems, what
Yeah.
you're buying in.
Yep.
Like, there's so many links that a company and companies at all levels, they all have the same. It's all same, but different.
Yeah.
Each one of those is a door, you know.
Well, as you say, you just got to find the one that's a little bit ajar.
Correct.
And then
correct.
you're in. So, knowing what you know, obviously you're out of the industry now, but with the onset of AI,
Yeah.
how fucking scary do you think that sounds going forward in a role that you used to have?
That's a really good question because I guess to answer the question, I'm not scared, right? Because AI is AI. It'll be used by good guys and by bad guys. So as I got out, there was software starting to come about that we called it at the time, or the term they used then, it was machine learning. It's AI, right? It's a computer trying to understand patterns and what to look for. So they were already starting to produce security software for good guys that was based on AI, like based on here's a pattern of things. And it could be it originated from this known country that's a bit dodgy. It came from this web address that's only been active for 24 hours. There was some sort of attachment, you know, in it, and it would link all that up, and it would send an alert to our security response team for then a physical person to go look at it and go, is that just, you know, a false negative, or, you know, something to ignore, or is that something that we actually need to look at?
Well, when you think about it, AI, OpenAI ChatGPT is basically just taking existing information that's available and collating it and rearranging it. It's not doing anything new. It's not creating anything new apart from what it collates.
Yeah.
Which has been in the headlines recently with the owner of OpenAI saying that it needs to be regulated because it can and will be. It specifically, if you look at the US elections that are coming up, how it can manipulate public opinion by creating posts and
that's right.
And so, you know, you can sway elections in this way.
Yeah.
So in that instance, that's scary.
Yeah.
How it can be used that way, because, you know, if you've got another fucking idiot at the top of the US presidency again, we're probably going to have to edit this one out. It just creates ripples.
It does
all the way down. So,
and I think I read something recently that universities now use some sort of software over like essays because
to stop AI being
used. That's right. Look for things that they know.
So the thing is that
like,
AI is predictable. It's
correct,
there's software that says we can see where AI is being used, and if you're using ChatGPT to create an essay, you're just a fucking idiot. You know, just stop what you're doing and move on, because what's the point?
No, actually.
Well, hold on. Whoa, interjection.
Yeah,
Jesus
there's
Christ.
something about,
I heard the tone change on it.
No, actually, yeah. There's something about ChatGPT. I've heard it mentioned hundreds of times that.
Use your words, Bev.
So, yeah, I'm not usually in this position, so.
No, that's good. Please interject.
So, because it's completely AI written, it's completely random. And if you keep asking it, if you keep pressing the button again on ChatGPT, it's going to keep coming up with a random response. So it's not predictable in any way. So that way, no copyright checkers or anything.
Well, so you're disagreeing with what we're saying.
I'm disagreeing that no copyright checkers could.
Can you Google that?
I will Google
because
it.
I think Glen was saying that there is software and there are applications out there that can tell whether you've used ChatGPT.
And I'll context mine. Nothing's foolproof, but I think it's
Well,
where we're at now.
I'm not agreeing with Matt because I've heard that universities have these tools to figure out whether people are using ChatGPT or not.
Yeah, and they can
on their essays, which I think is just it's just blatant cheating, you know.
Of course it is.
It's just been fucking lazy, you know.
Well, no, see, that's the part I disagree. I guess when we talk about the younger generation,
Because they're using their initiative.
They are. They're using what's there.
No, I disagree. We're creating a fucking generation of lazy motherfuckers. It's as simple as that. They don't want to work. They want the easy way out. They want self-gratification then and now. Yeah. That's what's happening with this.
It is. You know, my response to that is, who created them though? We did.
Well, you're not a parent.
I know, no, but this generation creates the generation that follows us. We created all this stuff. We created all this stuff to make our lives.
Okay,
life
so you're talking about the technology.
Yeah, we created the technology, and you know, I heard.
It still comes down to fucking parenting.
I watched something last night on Netflix. There's a 5-part docu-series on 9/11 and everything that spawned from that. Right? They said when the US went to war the first time, they had no law that allowed them to go after a terrorist group. That their only laws to start a war was against countries. So they wrote this new law that basically said we can start a war anytime we want over whatever we want. The act of war, power of war, some act, right? They passed. They intended that purely to fight Al Qaeda and the Taliban. Whenever Netflix made this in 2022, they go, this act has been used. Now, I can't remember if they said 42 times or 82 times since its inception. And it was only drafted so they could go after the Taliban. So, Al Qaeda, sorry. So, you create something for a reason, doesn't mean anyone else is going to follow the rules of what it was created for. So we created all this software and all this magic goodness, and the young generation have gone, cool, look what I can do with it. So I don't think they're lazy. I think they're smart.
Yeah, but do you not see where this is headed?
Of course I see where it's headed, mate.
You look at the job market in Australia. You look at these people that don't want to work. I mean, there was an example of this in the media recently, where this young guy said, I couldn't find a job. There's fucking hundreds of jobs available. You're just too lazy to get off your ass.
But that's
and
not
work.
a technology problem.
And then, hold on a sec. And then there's all these young people that are stressed out in their positions because they can't handle what's going on in life and everything's just getting a little bit too much. You know the reason why? Is their fucking consciousness is just enveloped by a device. Their span of attention is in just bits and bytes and just reels and clickbait. That's how they've been brought up. So when the chips are down and they have to actually do something substantial or to stump up or to step up, they can't do it. They can't do it. They don't have the inkling to say, hey, I've got a little bit of a stamina in me. I know how this works. You know, I'm going to just get up and fight and just do what I need to do. This generation are fucking weak. They are weak.
I think we're digressing from a cybersecurity conversation.
No, that's fine. I really had to get that off my fucking chest because it's been bugging me. Because that I read so much in the media about what's going on, and I lose faith in the youth of today and what they can and can't do. They've got a lot of shit that's afforded to them that we never had.
Absolutely,
but we never had. We couldn't even imagine. You know.
Okay. Look, we'll agree to disagree. We can keep debating.
No, that's fine. We can. I was actually just. It's not about agreeing and disagreeing. I was just blurting.
I understand.
This is good clickbait.
Well,
and I fucking love creating this sort of stuff.
If you're done with your rant, I've got a minute info for you.
All right, here we go.
So there's this app called or website called Turnitin that universities use or will supposedly use that says it can detect ChatGPT, and this is from a different site but it sounds like a promotion for Turnitin, and it claims
nice snowboard boots. Who's been shopping for snowboard boots?
Oh, I wonder who. So it says turn it in. It's a copyright detector that can also claim to detect ChatGPT and AI. So it uses a range of sources like blogs online and even other students' work.
So it does the same as ChatGPT does.
No, ChatGPT's...
But it's the same principle. It's taking information to know that what's been used in the information presented has been used before by some source.
Yeah, same shit,
Okay.
different application.
Okay, so basically what we're saying is that we were correct to state that ChatGPT can be detected. Is that correct?
No.
No.
No, actually. Well, it claims to be, but everything that it says it takes its information from shouldn't be able to detect AI. I don't know why that's happening.
It shouldn't be able to detect.
Shouldn't be able to, because
I thought you said it should be able to
it
detect.
shouldn't be able to, because if ChatGPT is random, like it claims to be, then analyzing other students' work. And
I think what we've got to remember about things like GPT is they're version 1.
No, they're up to version 4 now.
Yeah, but in real terms, like it's only what 5 years old or something. It's not that old. So I count that sort of as it's like version 1. This is the first time round.
Well, let's break that down a little bit further. If you've got a 5-year-old child,
Yeah.
and you've seen the development from that child from 0 to 5,
Yeah.
and then you equate that to what they're doing with AI, it just blows your fucking mind. You know how much a child absorbs in that period, how much they learn.
Yeah.
Well, you think about that exponentially. AI within another 5 years is just going to fucking blow your mind.
Absolutely.
You know?
Everything. Hey, I've got one for you. When we were looking for GPT and snowboard boots come up,
Yeah.
do you call that being scammed? I'll turn it back around on you. Do you call that being scammed?
By the advertising. You know, the one thing I really love about the technology these days, it's scary and it's not scary, because we would be having a conversation, my wife and I, over a drink, and we'd be talking about something. And I go, I'm just going to Google search that. And I'll go into Google and I'll type the first 2 letters, and then the subject will come up, or the person will come up, and I go, oh, that's fucking handy. I don't have to type the whole thing out. So I know they're listening to me. I understand that my information is being collected. Somebody is collecting data about me, face recognition, everything. It is at this point in my existence, it helps me to live a better life. It's easier. I know I get bombarded with advertising when I'm trying to buy something, like we looked at on the net. But the thing is, if you're smart, you use that to your advantage, because you don't go in and specifically buy something straight away. You go in and you search for something, and then what happens subsequently is that you're bombarded with all these ads from people trying to sell you those products. And then that makes your job easier. It makes it easier to find the product that you want at the price that you want to pay, because it's just putting it up on a plate for you. So, yes, I think the information farming is scary, and I'm sure it could probably come and bite me in the ass at some stage. Hopefully it doesn't, but it does make my life easier.
If I had, when you asked me a series of questions before about banking and phones and stuff that I said I'm not worried about. If you ask me one thing, if I really want to think about it, and I actually don't think about it, what worries me the most is that. Because
what, the ads on your Google feed?
Well, the
or
data,
ads on your feed?
the supposed voluntary data harvesting, right? So by you doing a search for snowboard gear, and all of a sudden now every time you bring something up, you get an ad for snowboards, right? Where I look at it is it's fine when it's general stuff, but when your options to, let's say, buy something become more limited, companies can use that against you in a very negative way.
You're talking about airlines with pricing through...
Pricing, correct.
So,
and especially if you go down the healthcare route, you want health insurance. If you know how much someone's willing to pay, perhaps how much people earn, how much and you use that, and you then box that, and you go, well, I know I can get $500 more out of you, and you'll pay it.
Let's talk about that, because that's important. Now, the way that works on the interweb with you searching, now companies and airlines do this specifically.
Yep.
they work, and this is all about cookies, yeah?
Cookies, yep. a lot
Okay,
of
so
cookies.
explain to
There's a website.
this is good topic. Explain to listeners about cookies. How do cookies work, and how does that work? So if I'm searching for a flight to the UK next year,
Yep.
okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to incognito window
Yep.
on Google, so that they can't track my searching.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so somebody can't farm the information on what I'm trying to find out.
Yep.
If I go directly to an airline's website, I accept their cookies. Their cookies allow them to harvest the information from my search.
That's right. Your
Right.
metadata,
Metadata.
which is supposedly anonymous,
Yep, supposedly.
but it's
But
anonymous.
you sign it away with your cookie
Well,
exception anyway.
The
don't
magic
you?
thing it works when they get, I think they get around anonymous is because they actually won't collect your name. They won't collect your date of birth.
But it works through VPN and your search.
Well, they know exactly what device they
recognise your
fingerprint your device.
Yeah.
And they actually can cross-reference multiple devices. So if you go from a laptop to a tablet to a phone, they know it's you. They don't know who you are, but they know you work across those three devices.
And if you search on each one of them, it
same
just confirms it.
That's right, correct.
It just confirms it.
They know
So
the
what they
device.
do, so going back to that, they're going to take that information, know that I've searched for that,
Yeah.
and then, all right, there's a price set on that. Now, they have that information. Now, I go back and search again, they can adjust those prices.
That's right.
They can adjust those prices
Up or
based
down.
on my search.
Yeah.
Fucking arseholes. If I come back in 3 months, they still have that information. They can still do the same thing and adjust the price accordingly.
Yep. And they can bring it down if they want, if things are not going good for them, and they could bring it down so you entice you into a sale, or they go, oh, you might be under a bit of time pressure based on your date now.
Exactly,
It could automatically go
exactly.
up. And
Okay.
it's all algorithms. It's
Yeah,
not, again,
ex-
it's not
yeah.
it's not directed. It's
Okay,
smart
so
algorithms.
I'm going to say number one tip for that is go, if you're using Google, use incognito window, because they can't trace that information back.
they-
All right.
yeah.
So there you go. Use that. Now the other hot tip.
By the way, it's all the smart young people that are making these algorithms, by the way. Do you know that?
yeah, I'm sure they are. That's great. Mav told me about incognito window for whatever reason it was. But look, another one I was thinking about before was a basic scam. Any subscription. So any subscription that you subscribe to.
Yep.
I use the example of the domain names that I have. I have a few of them.
Yep.
Now, what they do is they contact you with 2 or 3 months to go and go, oh, hey, save 5% if you resubscribe now. And you go, oh, that sounds amazing. So I resubscribe. And then what happens is that they take the date that you resubscribe, not the date that the subscription ends, for the resubscription.
That's a bit sneaky.
So they scam those 2 months out of you. So technically, even if it's a month, the next year it'll go back a month. So this is how these fuckers
Yeah.
get you. So be aware of that as well. I did have that in my notes, but
You just remind me of another one of my top tips that I do. I have a real email and I have a quote unquote dodgy email. So I have an email where, it's where I want to do legitimate stuff. Email my accountant, email my friends, email my mum. I use one email address.
yep.
And I have another email address where I'll sign up for subscriptions for, send me
Where
all the
you're gonna get all the
snowboarding
spam
sales and I
shit.
get the spam.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I try my hardest to every time I'm going to type in an email address, it's like, who are you and what am I giving up? All right, you're my bank. You can have my legit email, my day-to-day
Okay,
email.
so if we're going
it's-
to, if our listeners back home are going to do that, what are we looking at a Gmail versus an IINet or a Telstra or what are we?
No, two Gmails.
Just
even.
2 Gmails.
Yeah, two
Just 2
Gmails.
Gmails. So you just get one that's collecting all the shit,
Yeah.
and one that's legit.
Yeah,
That-
and for many years, I had my own domain name and my email in that. I'm actually more and more moving to Gmail.
Although the Gmail system is amazing.
Yep, and it has, you get spam from it,
Yep.
sure, but it's all in I think it's called the promotions folder or something. So I never get spam into my your main inbox.
Well, when you think
And
about
you go,
it,
that's cool. That's all right.
when you think
Separate
about it, Google. This is
It's
what
free.
This is what Google do. They make
Yeah.
your life better.
Yeah.
And as you say about Do you trust Google? Yeah, I trust Google.
Yeah, Google spent a lot of money on security.
And people should trust them. They've got nothing to worry about.
That's in the corporate world, that's how we actually used to judge a lot of companies. Is fundamentally how much money as a company, as an external company, do you spend on security, and the level of trust therefore we have in you. So the Microsofts of the world, the Googles of the world, the banks of the world, the big banks of the world, they spend a crap ton on security.
But saying that, if you get an email from a bank and it's at a Gmail account,
Yeah, probably not then.
probably not. Hey, look, on that note, thanks to Google. We really appreciate what you've done for us for the show today. Thanks for coming along. I really appreciate it. I hope our listeners get something out of this. I think the overriding message is just be smart, be aware. Don't click on fucking links.
Don't click on links.
Don't click on fucking links. That's it. Number one tip. Don't click on links.
And update your
That's
devices.
right. Update your devices. Back them up, and you'll be sweet.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot, mate. I appreciate it.
No worries, mate.
See ya. That's a wrap, man.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in and for your time. You know the vibe, I'm steady living until I die. It's a lewd state of mind, and we showed you that. Keep it authentic and real, I hope you coming back. Hey, make sure that you subscribe, cause we got it popping all the time, man, it's going down. If you wanna elevate, wanna live a better life, keep it locked here. You know it's a lewd state of mind, let's go.